everybody. Oh, and everybody just disappeared on me. So as we begin, since we have these beautiful foodie packs, just grab a drink, whether it be a coffee, a water, or a beer, or a wine, and just wish everybody a toast. So cheers to you all who made it tonight. We're all appreciative that everybody's here. So cheers to all of you. Have a sip.
Cheers.
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 Okay, so let's do a quick little. I'm sorry. Can we mute everybody, Julia or Cara? Okay, so let's just do a quick little overview.
Joe's muted now too.
Cara, can you please unmute Joe, or Joe, could you please unmute yourself?
How did that happen?
Cara put everybody on mute, and
okay.
So yeah.
All right, I'm so sorry.
That's
all right,
okay.
So I just wanted to do a couple of housekeeping rules and reminders. Please remain muted, as I just was. I was just showing you how to do it, just in case you needed to know. Chat functions are at the bottom of your screen. If you have a question, go into the chat, and your questions will be addressed as we go through this. There's going to be a question period before closing. And let's see here. If there is more than one person here representing a business or a member, just please remember at time of voting, only one of you are able to vote. Okay, so that's very, very important to know. All right, let's carry on. Cara, you've got the screen, right? Yes. Okay, so we've got our agenda there in front of you. I want to thank all of our members and esteemed guests that are in attendance and taking the time to join us tonight for this virtual tour, virtual meeting. Your participation and attendance is crucial to the success of the BIA and our beautiful town. It's been an exceptional year since we all last saw each other a year ago. And I'm sorry? Okay, sorry. We're a bit tired of all the standard cliches, the standard words and verbiage that people are using today. These are unprecedented times. This is the new normal. Out of abundance of caution, it's getting awfully tiring, and it's getting tiring very, very fast. But we're all adapting quite nicely. We're all desperate for the end to this pandemic. In the meantime, I'm sure we're all doing our best to follow the rules and keep our loved ones and neighbors safe as we go through these challenging times. We've adapted to the current reality. So this meeting is being held by Zoom instead of an in-person meeting as we've done in the past. And to make things a bit more fun, everybody was offered the foodie bag or the foodie box. I picked mine up a little bit too early because most of it's gone now. I'm still trying to figure out where my brownies are, but we'll figure that out later on. I want to give a special shout out to Mike and the Tap House Craft Beer and Kitchen crew for all the work that you put together or put into putting together these treats for tonight, and all of the contributors like Mocha Berry, Fromage, Le Fini, the Ontario Honey Creations for their delicious contributions. So everybody enjoy, and again, have a toast and a little cheers on behalf of all of us here today. Zoom meetings, we were talking about this at the beginning of this, at our little meet and greet, and how Zoom meetings are becoming the new norm. And a year and a half ago, most people didn't even know what Zoom meant. So we are all trying to figure this out again as the new norm. But there are some that might be having a challenge with this. I don't think many people do have a challenge today with Zoom, because everybody seems to have got on this call quite nicely and quite easily. So this is great stuff. A copy of today's session, or of today's AGM, will be made available for everybody's view and access, I believe, as early as tomorrow. So don't worry about that. If you're not picking everything up on the Zoom, or you're not able to get your question through to the panel, by all means, a copy will be made available. And if you have questions after the session that, again, you couldn't get through to us, by all means, make sure that, or we will make sure that your questions get addressed and answered in a very timely fashion. If you have not done so already, please change your name, or not change your name, make sure your name that appears by your login is accurate for attendance purposes as well as for voting purposes. It's very important that we know who's here today. There are some instructions as to how to go about doing that. I don't know if you can pop up those instructions right now, but basically it's very, very simple to change your name on your Zoom identification. To keep the meeting orderly, again, I'm going to ask that everybody remains muted until we get to the question period, and your questions will be addressed at that time. I want to send out a very special thank you to our esteemed guests, Solicitor General Sylvia Jones, Kyle Seaback, our Member of Parliament for Dufferin and Caledon, Mayor Sandy Brown, Orangeville Council members and town staff, all of you for taking the time to attend tonight. We know, again, that these are very interesting and challenging times, and this is a new way to conduct business and conduct social gatherings and business gatherings. So I'm really, really glad that you're all here participating in our event this evening. Now, we are honored to have Ontario Solicitor General Sylvia Jones and local MPP Sylvia Jones with us tonight. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Sylvia, I'd like you to say a few words, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Joe. And, you know, you've touched on it about how different 2020 turned out to be in terms of your businesses, your members. I cannot imagine how you, as the chair of BIA, have had to pivot to support your members. So to you, to Allison, to all of the volunteers who are serving as BIA members, thank you. You know, I'm going to use a word that may also be overused, but it is critical, and that is pivot. You know, many of us, many of you have had to pivot how you approached your business, how you were able to interact with your customers and your clients, and most importantly, how you were able to pivot to protect your staff and yourselves. So I want to thank you for that. I can assure you that from a provincial government level, we are doing everything that we can to drive out the vaccination process to make sure that we get as many people vaccinated as quickly as possible. Some of that is out of our control. Some of that is within our control. And I was frankly honored that the Premier asked Minister Elliott and myself to co-lead that vaccine rollout, because as Solicitor General, for the last 10 months, a lot of what I have been asked to do and have been driving is unfortunately related to the thou shalts. I am thrilled that we are getting to a point where 2 months ago, we didn't know anything about when and what vaccine rollouts were going to look like, and now we're there. So, be patient, please. We need that runway to make sure that we keep our loved ones safe. And I want to touch briefly on some of the supports that are available, if I may, Joe, to your members. I remember in 2018 that we made an announcement about Digital Main Street program, and it was a program that was offered to BIA members to basically digitalize and allow your businesses to go online. In 2018, if we had only known how valuable and important that program was going to be. So thank you to the members who stepped up and were engaged in that. Of course, now with the pandemic upon us, we have other business supports that I really hope that you have explored and applied for. The Ontario portal is a one-stop shop, literally, for all of the supports that are available, including the federal government supports. So please, if you have not looked at that, do so and reach out to my office, which is, of course, on the main street, or through sylvia.jones@pc.ola.org, and of course 519-941-7751. I appreciate that this has been an incredibly challenging year. What I can tell you is we are doing everything that we can at the provincial level to make 2021 safer, easier, and a return to allowing you to open up your businesses and do what you love, which is to serve your clients and customers. So thank you, Joe, and I'll turn it back over to you. Stay safe, everyone. I'm sorry I cannot stay, but I have some other vaccine rollout meetings that I must attend tonight.
We're sure you're very busy, and we thank you for your time, and thank you for all that information. We appreciate
safe.
being. Thank you. You as well. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being with us, Sylvia. I really appreciate it.
All the best.
Godspeed in your work.
Yes, thank you. All right. We are pleased that MP Kyle Seaback was also able to join us this evening, and I believe Kyle is coming to us from Ottawa. So Kyle, we welcome you.
I am, and thanks very much. Happy to be here. I also have to go because tonight we're testing a new voting application that they're rolling out here so that we don't have to sit through 4 or 5 hour Zoom meetings to vote. So that is coming up in about 10 minutes for me tonight, which will make my life a little bit easier. I've actually been on votes and committee meetings remotely in Ottawa here for the last 6 hours, as I'm sure many of us are. Zoom is the new way that we're staying engaged. I just want to take a second tonight to be here to thank everyone for what they're doing. The Orangeville BAA does so much great work for our local businesses. I visited many of your businesses to talk about the challenges that you were facing during COVID-19 and get your thoughts and ideas, and certainly have tried to communicate those to Ottawa. You know, one of the things I'm happy that we were able to do here is change the original wage subsidy from 10% to 75%. We worked really hard on that. The new frontier that I'm dealing with in Ottawa right now, I gave a 10-minute speech on this in the House of Commons yesterday, is startups and new businesses. If you started a business after March 15th of 2020, there are virtually no federal programs that you qualify for. So we're right now in pre-budget consultations with the federal government. And I spent the entire 10 minutes of my speech talking about new businesses because I get phone calls every day from new businesses who are, really struggling to try and find some way to get funding because they don't meet the eligibility criteria right now set by the government. So I'm going to give you my little plug right now. While we're in pre-budget consultations, please send a message to the finance minister, send a message to the prime minister that new businesses are deserving of access to the programs to support businesses. I think it's really important that we support all businesses right now as we go through the tough times of lockdowns. I don't have a lot else to say. My office is always available to help. We've posted all the federal programs that are available to access on our website from the get-go. We've worked very hard to do that. We're always available for constituents and businesses. If you are trying to access a government program and you're having difficulty, my number is 519-941-1832 and email is kyle.seaback@parle.gc.ca. And really, we want to help any business that is dealing with the difficulties or trying to navigate the programs that are out there. I've always said I'd love it if we're your first phone call. If we can help you, great. If it's not a federal issue, of course, we'll pass you on to whoever it is that you should get in touch with. Keep doing what you're doing. I know it's tough. We want to help every way we can. And hopefully we're going to get through this soon. Vaccines are arriving, not as quickly as any of us would like, but they are coming. And, if we continue to do what we need to do, we'll get through this over the coming months. Thanks very much for having me here. I wish you all the best. And please, if I can help in any way, get in touch.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time, and we know you have to run to your vote or your session that you're heading into. So we do, again, appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. And as you indicated, all businesses, new and established, are very important for the betterment of any community. So we need to support everybody as best we can. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Great. Thanks very much, everyone.
All the
Thanks
best.
so much,
Thank you
Kyle,
so
for
much.
coming. And
Okay.
And I just so you know, and you can take this message back to your colleagues in Ottawa.
Yep.
We do have 13 brand new businesses, or 13 businesses that opened in downtown Orangeville in 2020. Some of those were just relocated here, but some of them are brand new. So it's not a, you know, there are a lot of businesses that opened in 2020 that could still use support. So thank you for your work on that.
It's a big challenge. Honestly, I talked about it my entire 10 minutes I was allotted, because they deserve funding just like everyone else. It's not their fault that they chose to put their lives on the, they invest so much money, often have personal guarantees. There's real consequences if they don't get the support they need. So I'm going to keep pushing it. I raised it today because what my experience in politics is, to a large extent, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So please, please, please send a message to the finance minister and the prime minister that we need programs for new businesses. And I'm going to continue to do that myself.
I'll promise to you, we're going to be squeaky. Don't worry. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. We're also honored to have Mayor Sandy Brown here with us tonight. So Sandy, please share a few words of wisdom with us.
Thank you, Joe. Board of Directors and members of the BIA, I'm here to say a few words on behalf of my colleagues on Orangeville Town Council. The Orangeville BIA was founded in 1976 to build a stronger downtown business community to compete against malls and plazas. The goal of the BIA is to improve and beautify town-owned property and in the downtown core to promote the downtown core. 2020 has been a challenging year for many small businesses. Recent improvements in the COVID case numbers in Orangeville and all of Dufferin County, in addition to the arrival of shipments of vaccine and the planning for mass inoculations by the province, means there's a light at the end of this dark tunnel. Both the town of Orangeville and the county of Dufferin have published new tourism strategies. These strategies have included the addition of staff dedicated to tourism strategy and action. The town of Orangeville continues to support our downtown businesses with capital improvements such as the planned new downtown sidewalks, which will incorporate improved street design, flower beds, bike racks, seating areas, and even more attractive and more functional garbage and recycling receptacles. We're hoping these sidewalks can be engineered to improve storefront accessibility. The town, in consultation with the BIA, is moving forward with a plan to develop the parking lot at 8290 Broadway across from Town Hall, providing a mixed-use building, some underground parking, and will help this will improve the streetscape and add to the vibrancy of Broadway, at the same time increasing the number of parking spaces available. The other downtown project that we're considering is a refresh of Alexandra Park. We believe that this park should be rededicated as Veteran Square, providing enhanced programmable public space, as well as paying tribute to the men and women who have fought for our rights and freedoms. We believe that honoring our veterans appropriately and providing excellent public event space is not mutually exclusive. In September 2020, Whiteman Telecom, with its installation contractor, local business Avertech, started a $56 million project to lay ultra high-speed fiber optic cable throughout Orangeville. The pandemic has illuminated the need for robust home internet for work from home and study from home. Having high-speed fiber optic cable will help with business retention and business attraction. Our other important initiatives are the Blade Sign program that I know the BIA has been working on, a recommendation of Roger Brooks in his December 2018 presentation to the BIA. There's a need for town council, I think, to revisit some of the zoning in the downtown core. It was one of Brooks's recommendations that the business mix needed to be looked at. I hope in the coming months we can maybe bring that to the BIA and start looking at how we can tweak the business mix in the downtown core. Yesterday, I was involved in a mayor's roundtable hosted by Associate Minister of Small Business and Red Tape Reduction, Prabmeet Sakaria. Each mayor was asked to share his or her thoughts about the pandemic and long-range red tape reduction. I told Mr. Sakaria that we need to start up small businesses and they need a safe way to allow patrons into their store, perhaps through appointment booking system. Also, the rule of 10 patrons in a restaurant, regardless of the size of the restaurant, needs to be revisited. We've got 20-seat bistros allowing seating for 10, and businesses like Angels or Boston Pizza only allowing 10 in their restaurants as well. There needs to be some sort of square footage calculation, perhaps through the liquor license numbers that needs to be implemented. I also suggested that some of our frontline grocery and big box staff deserve bonus pay, as they've had hundreds of people per shift going by them. They certainly need some additional help. Orangeville and Dufferin County is a great place to work, live, and shop. We've got a lot of positive initiatives that are going on to help spur traffic and sales in the downtown core. And throughout Orangeville in the coming months and years, I want to end by thanking the BIA board for their hard work and the support of their own members during this very difficult time. Thank you, Joe, and all the best to everybody for the coming year.
Thank you, Sandy. Very, very nicely said. And I think I can speak on behalf of all of the BIA board. Yourself and your council have always been approachable and willing to take our calls and cooperated with us with anything that we needed. So thank you for everything that you've done. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, moving right along. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of our session today, I just want to point out all the people on the screen. It's been 10 months, 11 months of this new world, and I haven't seen any. Well, actually, I saw Mike today when I went to go pick up my package, but we haven't sat kneecap to kneecap with any of our council member or our board members since this pandemic started. So just so that way everybody's fresh in your mind, these are the people that have made all of this happen. So we have Troy from Mokaberry, we have Sean Corcel. Unfortunately, he can't be with us tonight. He's had a family tragedy. We have Councillor Sherwood from the town of Orangeville. We have Mike Beattie, Tap House Craft Beer and Kitchen Director. He's a director, not a kitchen director, but he's one of the directors on the board. And then we have Heather Hockmeister from H&R Block. So these are the people that through these difficult times have conducted our meetings and our discussions through Zoom, through new technologies that we've all had to adapt and get used to. And we have been able to coordinate, assemble, and get together and work together without physically seeing each other. So everybody, this is your board, and these are the people that make things happen. So I want to extend a thank you to all of you for, I'm actually looking at you, all your pictures, expecting you to look back, but you're not. I want to thank all of you for everything that you've done to help us all get through this. So this is your board, everybody. All right. On that note, I think it's important to mention that we do have a couple of empty seats, or a few empty seats on our board. We've had people that have moved on, and we are looking to replace those seats. And it's a very rewarding volunteer opportunity. If you're interested, or if you know of somebody within the BIA district that would be a good fit for our board, please speak to Allison, who's the general manager of the BIA, and we welcome any name that we can get. And then what we will do as a board is we'll sit and discuss the names that have been offered up, and we'll see if we can fill those seats. Okay. And the board I just introduced you to could not get, oh, hold on. No, go back. Where are we? No, go back one more to the BIA staff. Thank you. So the board we just talked about could not have done what we've done. Somebody, Sylvia Jones had mentioned that as the chair, she knew how difficult it was that we had to pivot to adapt to COVID. I will tell you right now that I didn't pivot. I pivoted when I was told to pivot, because our BIA staff, they basically, they are the spokes in our wheel. They are the ones that have been able to get everything done for us and been able to chuck and jive very, very quickly and adapt and pivot and do all the fun things that we've talked about in order to make sure that this happens, and in order to make sure that the BIA has stayed assembled. So we have Allison Shield, who's the general manager. And for those of you that know Allison, she's approachable. She is knowledgeable. She is our sounding board, and we're able to bounce ideas off of her, and she's able to tell us historical facts and figures of things that might have happened in the past that might have us rethink our decision. But she gives us information that is priceless. Cara Ware, who's an administrator, phenomenal addition to the team. We have Gary Skin, market coordinator. For those of you that enjoyed the summer market and are enjoying the winter market, you can see that we had to chuck and jive and pivot very, very quickly. And Gary's done a great job managing that for us. So Julia Griss, member ambassador, you've all heard from her. She is in touch with all of us regularly, making sure that we know exactly what's going on, on-time information. Between her and Cara, they're able to provide us with information that are helping our members get through this COVID time that we're in right now. And then Lindsay Shiel, you've all probably met her at the market. She's a market assistant to Gary. Wonderful, presentable, approachable addition to our team. So thank you all. Again, I'm looking at you all, expecting you to look back at me, and I want you to know that we appreciate everything that you've done. So thank you. Okay. Then we have the Better Together Task Force. As Mayor Brown had mentioned earlier, the Roger Brooks session in December of 2018 touched on a number of different things in this town that we could do as a board, as town council, as a BIA board, pardon me, and town council, that could improve or continue to improve the ability for our members to do business in this town, property owners to be proud of being in this town. And he came up again with some very good recommendations. So we assembled the Better Together Task Force, which, as you can see, we have Sue Edwards from Bloomin, co-chair. We have Christine Patton from Fromage, Veronica Svet from Reader's Choice, Troy Brett, Mochaberry, Jill Spruill from Spruill's Emporium, Dennis Middlebrook from Mill Creek Gardens, and David Nairn from Theatre Orangeville. These, what do we have here? 7 people are a very good pulse. They have a very good pulse of what's going on in the town and coming up with some great ideas for the Better Together Task Force of things that we can implement to, again, improve everybody's livelihood and livability in this town. So I want to thank everybody on the Better Together Task Force. Okay. This is interesting, and Allison touched on this with Sylvia Jones. Again, as we are now coming into the 11th month of COVID-19, there are, there's the misfortune or the unfortunate incidents where some businesses have closed. And it's important to know that some of the businesses have closed, not necessarily because of COVID. Some of the businesses decided to retire a bit early. 3 moved to new locations, and 5 closed their doors as far as we can see, or as far as we know. But on a happier note, and we appreciate everything that those businesses did contribute to the town, and it's sad to see them go, but things evolve, things change. On a happier note, we've had 13 new businesses open their doors in this town. That's pretty cool. So when you have 13 new businesses open up in the middle of a pandemic, who in the world would have thought that anybody would want to open a business in the middle of these trying times? But 13 people did, and 13 people are getting support, or 13, not people, but 13 businesses. They're getting support from the town. They're getting support from the BIA. And if Kyle is able to do what Kyle Seaback is talking about, hopefully they'll get support from the federal government as well to keep them going. So I want to applaud all of the individuals that were here and have left for everything that they contributed to the town while they were here. But again, at the same time, let's welcome the new blood to town, and let's support them and help them in any way we possibly can. And remember, heard me, shop local. So let's support them. Thank you. Oh, and sorry, on that note, I also want to mention that I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity of driving through other small Ontario towns, but our vacancy rate, we have 6 vacancies downtown Orangeville. In comparison to some of the other towns that I personally have driven through or visited while we were allowed, having 1 vacancy is too many, but only having 6 in a town of our size, I think is a pretty good testament to the fact that our businesses are still trying to thrive here. And for the most part, everybody is able to survive quite nicely, again, through their own initiatives, also through the support of everybody I mentioned earlier. So let's look here. I think this is, I've talked about a lot of this, but our BIA mission is to unite and connect through collaboration and purposefulness, working smarter together. We've talked about the availability of the mayor and town council. We've talked about the availability and the steps that we've all taken as the board of the BIA to help people through this. As Sylvia Jones had mentioned, we're all pivoting. We're helping people get through these times, and it's new to all of us. and all of us that are on the board, we all own businesses as well. So we have experienced some of the trying times firsthand. So we have tried to adapt and adopt new changes and help people through these times with our experiences also. So again, our mission is to unite and excuse me, and connect through collaboration and purposefulness. So let's all stick together, band together, and again, support one another. Pardon me. We've had to adapt to some new ways of doing business. We're gonna get to the 5 pillars in one quick second, but some of the things that we as a BIA office have done is we've adopted Office 365 for sharing of documentation. We've initiated Microsoft Teams for internal, external collaboration. So again, we as a board are doing everything we possibly can to adapt and evolve with these times. And who knows, some of these changes that we've implemented might very well be a continuation of how we do business going forward. We're really not sure yet. So we're yet to see what the future holds. But for now, I can assure you that we have done everything we possibly can up to this point to again adapt. I'm going to let Allison jump in here, and Allison's going to talk about the 5 strategic pillars that we try to live by, and you can see them all in front of you there. So Allison, please share your thoughts.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks very much. I'm gonna turn my camera on just for a minute, but I want to make sure that so everyone can see that I'm here and I'm not wearing my pajamas. But I tend to have some internet issues at home, so I'm going to probably stop my video if I see anything kind of going a little bit funny, because I don't want to slow the presentation down. So I just want to mention that Joe had talked about the things that we've been doing, and we've talked a lot about that, about pivoting and all that kind of stuff. But I also want to mention that a big part of what we did this year was moving away from events, because obviously we couldn't have people gathering together, and launching some new member support programs, new marketing initiatives, and new fun things to do and see on the street. Well, more so see than do, but that was a big part of what we did, just on a very high level.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on now to, sorry, it's a little bit slow, so just bear with me for a second.
You're not putting a dig in for the poor internet service we have, are you?
No, not at all. I don't live in Orangeville. I live in Mono, so I think it's just bad service. I live at the bottom of the hill. Okay, so the first pillar, I'm not going to read the whole slide because I think everyone can kind of do that for themselves, but I just want to make sure that you understand that what we had to do this year was kind of reallocate or allocate more human resources. I honestly thought at the beginning of the pandemic, when we were closing down, that I was going to have a bit of a, some kind of quiet time, and I could paint my living room and, kind of catch up on all the things I hadn't been able to do. Well, instead of working, my normal, 45 hours a week, I was working 70 hours a week, and my staff was pitching in huge hours, much more hours than they signed up for. So it was a really different beginning to the pandemic than I had expected. So we really had to switch some human resources, allocate more human resources so we could support our members and keep them up to date. Every day was a new day, changing constantly. So that was really interesting. And then, through the summer openings, and then the fall recovery, and then of course the winter shutdown, we've just had to kind of keep on our toes and be very nimble. So this brings us to the Digital Main Street program that Solicitor General Jones referred to. Now, the town of Orangeville spearheaded this for us. The small business, the name of it has just gone right out of my head. Small Business, it's not Development Center. Gosh, I'm really sorry. It's gone right out of my head. So my apologies.
Enterprise Center.
Enterprise Center. Thank you so much. I don't know where that went. Thank you very much. So we spearheaded this for us. They applied.
Allison, be careful. I don't want to take back all of the great things that I just finished saying about you.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah. Anyway, so my apologies. And it's really funny because when I was reviewing the slides, I thought, I'm going to forget what that is. I am going to forget about it. I always just call it SBAC. I don't normally say it, the long version. But they were very kind, and they applied on behalf of the Orangeville BIA, Shelburne BIA, and Grand Valley BIA, and we were successful in getting a coordinator who went around and signed up a bunch of businesses. They were successful last year, but even more successful this year. So hats off to the team that did that, because they did a great job. So thanks to the Small Business Enterprise Center, 3 downtown communities received the grant for 1 coordinator. 54 different small businesses got grants. 22 of them were in Orangeville, and they got $2,500 each. And that money came to $55,000 of provincial funding that went right to Orangeville BIA businesses, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, so it was pretty great. And so they get, 3 hours of training, and they got a lot of really good stuff, and they can use it for a lot of really good stuff. So here's some of the things that they can do with it. Social media, website, they can buy photo light boxes, so they can take great pictures of their products, that kind of thing. So a very worthwhile program, and I really hope that the provincial government continues it in next year. So the next thing we do as one of our pillars is customer attraction. It is our job to attract people downtown in a variety of ways. So like I mentioned before, we pivoted away from large scale events where people gathered and created some socially distanced or self-guided activities, like with our Halloween displays, our Christmas displays. Shop Downtown Orangeville was a really big part of what we did, and took a lot of human resources at the beginning of the pandemic, setting up our online store. And the idea was to create like a new hyper local online shopping experience with curbside pickup or free local delivery. So we have our members can sell their products on Shop Downtown Orangeville. They can sell their gift cards, and we will be continuing this program into 2021 and hopefully building it. It started out a little bit slow. Our members were, just learning their way through what was happening, just trying to figure out what their next steps were. We're really hoping that we can build on it and make it something that stays with us for all time. We developed some social media contests to highlight what our businesses offer and to lift people's spirits during COVID-19. We found that, people just needed a smile. And so for us to, provide an opportunity for them to share a fun photo or, their story really kind of helped lighten the mood. The farmers market was relocated from 2nd Street to the parking lot across the street from Town Hall to make more space for social distancing. And then the winter market was relocated to Tony Rose for the same reason. And we started a $5 off coupon to get people to go from Tony Rose downtown. And that coupon program has been quite successful so far. I don't have an actual count of how many we've that have been redeemed, because we're still in the process of collecting them for December. But from what I gather, they're a very popular item. DowntownOrangeville.ca, we spent a lot of time making sure that all of the businesses we have listed on there in our directory were all listed for if they had were offering takeout or delivery or curbside pickup, or if they were offering online classes, if they were open Sundays. It was really quite very labor intensive to make sure that we had all of the information as up to date as we could possibly make it at any given time. And kudos to Julia, she did a great job, and to Cara to make sure that those lists were constantly updated, and to Green Monkey for always kind of following through on all the things that we gave them to keep us looking good. Curated gift guides was another thing that we did in order to attract people during COVID-19. So besides all of that stuff, we did some videos. We did a summer video. We did a Christmas shopping video. We did our tree lighting video. We have a new takeout campaign starting soon, the new video coming up. And the Better Together Task Force had a bunch of initiatives that I'm going to talk about in next. So our Better Together Task Force they're tireless. the business owners on this task force are so passionate about what they're doing and about attracting new people to Orangeville and really providing an experience for when they're here. It's really quite inspiring, and I want to thank them for all of the work that they do. They really keep us on our toes, and they're constantly coming up with new ideas, and we're very grateful to them. So they are very proud of the things that they did in 2020, despite all the challenges they faced. And they want to thank the board and staff for the support. I'm speaking on behalf of them now because they wrote this little this presentation. So they were successful in installing a 132-foot by 22-foot interactive mural on the east wall of the Orangeville Outlet Center on Little York Street. So if you haven't seen it yet, please go by. It's of the Mill Creek flood, and it's a great little spot for photo ops. It's also been added to the town of Orangeville's self-guided art walk tour, which we're happy about. And they have plans for 2 new murals on Broadway in 2021. So we're very hopeful that we can get those put together. They spearheaded the Halloween decor and selfie promotion. So it was their idea to get the 12-foot skeleton that you can see on your screen there. And thankfully, the town of Orangeville's Parks and Rec department were amazing in helping us get all of that stuff set up and to store it for us. And we're very grateful to them. The new life-size polar bear seat was also added for Christmas to make it a little fun for during the holidays, because there was a lot less things for kids to be doing, and they just wanted to add a little bit of whimsy to downtown. We also had Starlight Shopping, and in addition to that, the task force wanted to add some live music. So of course it was winter, we couldn't have live music outside, so Aardvark allowed us to put a musician in their window, and we piped the music outside. So that was a really nice addition to December. Unfortunately, we had to cut it kind of short with the challenges with the zones as we were shutting down before Christmas, but we were really happy that we were able to start that. Okay, and the Hidden Gems flyers, we distributed those in the summer through the visitor center, area hotels. We put them on car windshields at trailheads. It had a $10 off coupon, and the idea was to encourage people who were in the Dufferin area, maybe going for walks at Mona Cliffs Park or at Island Lake, to actually make their way downtown and check out everything that we had to offer. The task force purchased a bunch of giant games, which they had hoped to put out this summer, but of course, with everything going on, we weren't able to do that. So they're really looking forward to being able to do that, hopefully, in the summer of 2021, if all goes well. And of course, the public plaza idea, the Veterans Park that the mayor referred to, the task force is very keen to get that project going. And so they wanted to thank Sylvia Jones for kind of starting the conversation about that plaza, along with Roger Brooks. The task force volunteers fill the brochure boxes for us, and they are just constantly looking at new things to do. They are looking forward to the challenges ahead in 2021, and hopefully coming up with new ideas that are inventive and creative. And they just really want to create an experience that gives people a reason to make downtown a destination place. Not only for people who are coming from out of town, but also for people who live locally that don't normally spend their time in our heritage core. So that's that. So thank you very much to them and all the hard work that they've been doing. So here's some just a couple of stats for Shop Downtown Orangeville. Like I said, it's a little bit of a slow start. Green Monkey was amazing in getting this up and running for us very, very quickly. It's built on a Shopify platform, and we're hoping that it's going to grow as businesses get more comfortable doing it. It gives a great jumping off point for businesses that aren't comfortable with e-commerce, but it also gives businesses that already have an e-commerce site another selling point, or another jumping off place where they can market themselves. And we're confident that things will grow, even if it's a bit slow to start. So our website, you can see the stats in front of you there. They're pretty impressive, considering that 99% of the people that looked at our website this year were new users. So they were coming to our site to look for who's had takeout, who was open for curbside pickup, that kind of stuff. So they weren't looking for, our locals weren't looking for what events we had going on. They were looking to see who was open and what they were able to get from a local business. We found the local support for shop local and dine local was incredible this year, and we really hope that it continues long after we've beaten COVID-19. Our social media reach has grown by leaps and bounds, and that is in large part to Green Monkey's efforts, but also to Julia, who has just been doing a great job with Instagram. So we now have over 8,000 Facebook page likes. So, you know, but about 4,000 people are on the downtown page, and about the same for the farmers market page. That's a 21% increase this year. We have almost 5,000 Instagram followers right now. That's a 61% increase, which we think is pretty great. Our Twitter followers, I don't think Orangeville or the GTA are really, well, certainly not our customers, are real tweeters, but you know, that's something that we'll still keep on at, but it's not really something that we're spending a lot of our time and energy at. The Orangeville Farmers Market. So you can see the stats there. Obviously, our sales, attendance, everything has gone down this year. But what we really did notice is that we have an extreme, and we knew this before, but I think we've been able to really identify in no uncertain terms, is that we have a very loyal market following. That there is a core group, about half the people that come to the market, rain, shine, snow, does not matter. They are there, they're buying their vegetables, they're supporting their vendors, and we are very happy about that. So we're really looking forward to, you know, a more traditional market season next year, but, you know, we will be ready for whatever comes. And thank you to Gary for doing whatever he could, and to the town of Orangeville for being so supportive in helping us pivot anytime we needed to do that. So thank you. Parking. I say this all the time, and I'm sure you've all heard me say it, is that if we don't have a parking problem, we have a bigger problem. Well, guess what? In 2020, we had a much bigger problem. We did not have a parking crunch in 2020, and we only wish that we could have more people wanting to bring their cars and shop downtown. But so we appreciate the fact that, you know, that parking, even though it's always a challenge, we want more people downtown. And if that means that you have to look a little bit harder for a parking space, or you ride your bike, or you walk instead, that's okay. So we will continue to make parking a priority. We will continue to look for solutions that come through collaboration, out of the box thinking, and looking at strategic planning and decision making to make sure that we are making good decisions for the future to ensure that we have healthy public parking inventories. So one of the things that that we're looking at is, of course, the redevelopment of 82 to 90 Broadway, and we've been working with, we worked with the consultant and kind of consulted with the town of Orangeville on what would happen with that property. And, you know, we have made our feelings about that known, that we want more parking, not less, and that we're keen to have the property redeveloped because we think it's going to be good for downtown, but parking also has to be maintained. And we want to thank our members, Terry Carter from Carter's Law Firm and Greg Bird from Traffic Hawk, for all of their help in getting us to successfully have the transit transfer station relocated away from downtown and back to the Edelbrock Center. We found that the member engagement in dealing with that whole situation was incredibly high, and we were very happy that our members felt so passionately and were willing to speak out and have their voices heard. So in having that relocated, we have saved 12 to 16 on-street parking spaces, and it's a really big win for downtown businesses, especially in that area that we're really concerned about that whole issue. And we appreciate the fact that the town is now looking at the Edelbrock Center as a long-term solution for the expansion of the transit system that will service everybody better. Okay, so stakeholder alignment. This is also another thing that we spend a lot of time, energy, and effort on. We spend a lot of time sitting on committees and boards and fostering a spirit of cooperation between other organizations and our own. It helps us make informed decisions and decisions that are made with a wider lens than just our narrow focus. The town just recently released its a few months ago, its recreation and parks master plan, and more recently a tourism strategy. And if the recommendations in these documents are implemented, they would have a big impact on downtown Orangeville. So maintaining a strong working relationship with our town colleagues will be essential in building a strong, resilient destination downtown moving forward. Beautiful, unique space. So this is our fourth pillar. Obviously, we spend a lot of our budget making downtown as pretty as we can. We don't do it alone. The town does a lot of that work for us, but we do spend a lot of our money on our colorful floral displays, our hanging baskets, our planters in the warm weather, some winter themed planters in the colder months. And then we also have 48 snowflakes that go around the light standards that we've purchased over the last couple of years that will all be relit next year, because we noticed that this year some of the lights were fading, and so did the contractor, and they're going to be fixing that for us for next year. We moved 8 of the older snowflakes to areas that had never been lit up before. So we now have one on Little York, one on Armstrong Street, and then 6 of them were on the east end of Broadway in the more the more fast food kind of area where the McDonald's and A&W and those businesses are. Oh, sorry, I really pulled ahead here. Okay, so we'll move on to pillar number 5, organizational effectiveness. We've talked a lot about what we've done and how we've changed, how we pivoted in 2020. So I won't bore you to death with more of that. But just know that we did whatever we could to make things run smoother and to adapt and to listen to our members as best we could and make the changes we need to make. We needed to make. So our part-time member ambassador engages with our members, supports our members. Our part-time ambassador monitors and relays information to us and to our members, and supports our day-to-day programming and operations. And then our general COVID-19 response. So obviously we didn't have a COVID-19 budget for 2020. So the board quickly reallocated funds to support the BIA's COVID response. Supporting our members became our top priority. When we began reopening, we did a delicate balance between attracting visitors and respecting that our business owners weren't ready to receive a lot of visitors, that they were nervous and they wanted to keep themselves and their staff and their families safe. So we were really careful about not over marketing downtown and really just trying to keep it as local as we could. And we also didn't have any public washrooms. So that created a bit of a challenge because we didn't want the burden to be on our members. So we didn't want anyone that was coming so far away that they couldn't get home to use their own washroom. I know that seems like a simple thing, but it actually was quite challenging this summer. As the situation evolved, the BIA shifted gears and we began supporting members in various ways, depending on the type of the business that we were helping and the opening stage. So, for example, with restaurants, when the patios were able to open, we were chatting with the town of Orangeville and encouraging them and talking to them about how best to increase the patio space, and they were amazing. Ruth did a great job, and the planning department, public works, all did a great job in helping us expand or in expanding the patio program for our business owners. So thank you to the town of Orangeville for that, and we really hope that will continue in 2021 as well, because it was really important for the restaurants to get more bumps in seats in a safe way. And we're on to the budget now. So I think what we'll do, if it's okay, Joe, if you don't mind, if we have any questions, and I think there might be some questions in the queue. Cara, are there?
No, really, everybody's just, the comments in the chat box at the moment are just very positive comments on specific aspects of last year that people love, or just as a whole, how pleased people are with everything that was done last year. Yeah, just some very lovely comments. So thank you very much for everyone who's posting at the moment, and really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Allison.
That's amazing. Thank you, everybody. We could not have done what we did this year without your support and your engagement and your encouragement, because you were all so gracious and wonderful in helping us help you. And so thank you very much. I have never felt so satisfied in my job than I have this year. It really warmed my heart every time I got a kind word and we heard that we helped you in some small way. So thank you to everybody for that. It was amazing. Our board has been incredibly supportive, and I think most of you know I lost my mom not very long ago, and the outpouring of support that I got from everybody about that was just very heartwarming. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Allison. I have to say, you don't let us down. I told you you did a great job, and you would do a great job presenting that, and you always do. So you are again a great voice and a great sounding board for all of us on the board. So watching all of the comments back and forth, and like Cara had mentioned, there really aren't any questions, but we do welcome questions and we will address them. But the comments that I'm seeing are the same comments that I'm hearing in conversations that I'm having with people. I think, given that we were all new to the experiences of last year, we all figured things out as we were going through it, and some of it by trial and error, some of it by accident, some successes, some failures. But for the most part, it is very, very impressive to see what the staff of the BIA has done all the time, but in the last 10, 11 months, especially, to make sure that everybody was kept up to speed with what was going on and things continued to thrive. It would be very, very sad if we got through all these holiday seasons and didn't have different events or different things going on. It would have demoralized people. So again, kudos to you guys, Allison and your staff and the board for doing everything that has been done to make sure that people were kept somewhat positive as we went through this. And again, great job. So thank you. So if there are no questions, I'll jump right. I'm sorry?
There is a question coming in. Someone's asking what happened to the Walking Broadway thing. I understand it was voted down. Is that a possibility in the future?
Okay, Allison, can you comment on that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the Walking Broadway?
Walking Broadway thing, I understand it was voted down. Is that a possibility in the future?
I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure what that question is about. The person that asked the question, if they could unmute themselves, I'd appreciate. Maybe you can.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Shelley. Yes.
Hi. No, I was. Didn't we vote on blocking off Broadway to cars for certain times?
Oh, pedestrian. Yes.
Remember that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Blocking off Broadway. I'm sorry. I thought you said walking. So my apologies there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yes, there was lots of conversations about closing Broadway or closing certain streets during COVID-19. But every time we went to kind of look into that, we kind of got roadblocks. The health board was concerned that if we closed a street, we would have to limit to crowd sizes of 100. And how would we control those people? And what would we do? Like how many people would we have to have? And there were so many different entrances. We'd have to have public washrooms. Everything would have to be cleaned. It was such an overwhelming responsibility and undertaking that we decided that to be on the safe side, that it was not a safe thing to do in 2020. That's not to say that, as things improve, that we won't consider it for 2021. We absolutely will. So thank you for asking the question. But it was just not logistically feasible in 2020 to do it safely with the confidence of the BIA board, with BIA staff and the health board.
Okay.
Mike thank you, Shelley. Mike also mentioned that because of the construction on some of the side streets like Little York and the film crew that was on Broadway, that also didn't allow us to shut down Broadway as a pedestrian walk, because if we did that, some of the back streets weren't going to be accessible. So that was another factor. But 2021 is looking a little different, and we'll have to wait and see, but it is most certainly something that we're talking about all the time. So thank you, Shelley.
Yeah, and thank you to Mike. Yes, absolutely. That was a big reason why we chose not to close the street too. That really factored into it. Is the road construction made it a lot more challenging to get around downtown if Broadway was closed. So we thought that we would be best to wait, and it did go on a little longer than I'm sure anyone would have liked, and I'm sure Public Works would agree with that too.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, let's move on to the 2020 budget and the preliminary review. And I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at this quickly, so I'll go through these high-level numbers. You have the BI levy, which has not changed. It has not increased in a number of years. We had anticipated revenues, additional revenues, miscellaneous of 18,006. Our revenues for 2020 were down simply because we weren't able to hold events. If I'm not mistaken, a lot of those revenues came from that film shoot, did they not, Allison?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah.
we have slated a movie to be shot here in Orangeville every week of the year for 2021, and and that would make things a very lucrative year. But in any event, our total revenues were slightly down, but our revenues were quite healthy. Administration expenses slightly up from what we had budgeted, again due to having to bring on staff and having staff working a lot more, many more hours than was anticipated, just due to the current circumstances. Marketing, our marketing budget was very similar to what we had budgeted. However, we didn't do a lot of print advertisement simply because of the times. COVID recovery and miscellaneous initiatives, we had not budgeted anything, but we had to put something in there because there was a lot of money spent on different things to help our members through COVID. Parking, very, very similar. Projects, so Blade Sign Grant Program, we had budgeted $22,000. We only spent $390 because unfortunately the Blade Sign Program wasn't able to be launched in 2020 as we had anticipated. It will be forwarded to 2021. Streetscape, again, a little bit less than budget, but nonetheless, a large percentage of our income goes towards streetscape for the beautification of the town. And as I mentioned earlier, if we didn't continue to try to beautify the town, not knowing when and if we were going to be coming out of the pandemic, we would have been doing everybody a disservice. So that money had to kept being spent. Farmers markets. I mean, we again, the task force, the events, we had budgeted 134,000, and for reasons not needing mentioned, we only spent 36,874. Total expenditures were are substantially down from what we had budgeted for, but you'll see that we're carrying those over into 2021, which we'll get to in a second. Surplus, we had a surplus of 54,594, and then we had also taken $37,000 out of our reserve last year to be allocated towards special events and projects that unfortunately didn't happen. So what we're going to be doing is putting that back into our 2021 budget. So contribution from reserves would be our surplus from 2020 plus the amount that we pulled out of reserve, and it would then go into our 2021 budget. Moving right along. Actually, at this point, let's go. I probably should have done this at the top, and I'm so sorry. Let's go up to the 2021 budget, and I'll review those numbers with you right now. You can see that our levies the same. Our anticipated miscellaneous revenues are up from where they were in 2020. And administration, the expenses for admin is going up simply because we're starting to realize that money needs to be spent on part-time staff and salaries. We're doing a lot more social media. So things like that are going to be pulling from our admin expense. Marketing, again, we're keeping it on par as we have in previous years. COVID recovery, we've bumped that to 48,000 because we added 20,000 that we ended up spending in 2020 to make 2021 that much more prepared. So then that way we can be ready for pretty much anything that comes our way. Parking, again, similar, that doesn't change. Projects and blade signs, we've, and I think Allison touched on that in her talk about how the blade sign program has been fast-tracked to now be able to offer it in 2021. And there are some incentives that are being offered by the town. There are reduced licensing fees and things like that. So that program is definitely moving forward. And if some of you need to know more about the blade sign program, please let us know, and we'd be happy to share with you what information we have. Streetscaping, we are in conjunction with the town and their street sidewalk revitalization program. We are going to be making sure that we work collaboratively with the town to ensure that we are spending good money for great things on our streetscape as we go forward. Events, we're really hoping that we get back to normal events, and we're budgeting back to where we once were for $141,750 in 2021. Total expenses for 2021 are going to be higher than we had budgeted for 2020, a lot more than we had actually spent in 2020, because we believe we need to spend the money to help everybody recover from this. And the way that we can go about helping people recover is by attracting people to the town and beautify our spaces and things like that when we're allowed to and when we're able to do so. Surplus, we have a surplus of $91,594. And there's a question coming in, are there any more details on Farmers Market Task Force line? We do have, yes, we do have more detail available. Let's see here. As far as the 141, I would imagine you're asking about. Allison, if you can, I've got the actual long form budget in front of me. Can you jump in here on the expenditures for the Farmers Market and Task Force?
Yeah, would you like me to put that up on the screen, Joe?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get out of this presentation and then I'll pull that up, okay? So just bear with me for just a moment, okay?
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, can everybody see that?
Yeah, it's there. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So I'm just going to scroll up. So, sorry, the questions were specific to
Farmers Market and COVID relief.
Okay, so COVID relief. Well, if we can do that first, because it's at at the top. So a big part of what we did in 2020 was we spent a really big chunk of money on the median light sticks. And I know that there has been some challenges with having those stay lit, but we think we're coming to a solution for that. And hopefully we won't be having that problem next year. The manufacturers coming to take a look at them. So we spent over $20,000 on those this year, and they are a long-term investment. So this is the big number in the COVID relief, and it's a very general number. Joe, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but we wanted to make sure that we had the money set aside for anything that we might need it for. And if we didn't put it into the budget this year, it would be a lot harder for us to get it out of reserve. So it is there if we need it for whatever we need it for, and the board will make those decisions based on timing and need and kind of whatever life brings us in the next few months.
Okay, and Michael, just actually actually he went back to his original question. The COVID relief makes sense, that's fine. But he was more so asking about Farmers Market and Task Force line. So let's look here. Where are we? Bear with us.
There you go.
So we have salaries that are attributed to the farmers market that we have accounted for, and I don't think there are any. Let's see here. There's nothing out of the ordinary in the farmers market. Let's see.
The only thing we changed in the farmers market budget is that we took away the promotional part of the budget for the farmers market. Last year, we had budgeted $7,000 because we wanted to do some stuff in the park to encourage new visitors to the market. We took that out of the budget this year because we weren't sure if we were actually going to be able to spend it, but it's in the larger COVID relief or the COVID recovery number. So if we need it, and if we think that the farmers market needs a boost, because that helps boost, has the spin-off effect of boosting business to our members, then we can take it out of that COVID budget and program the park or hire musicians for the farmers market, that kind of thing. So that's the only change to the farmers market budget. It's really remained pretty much the same for years. I'm actually really proud of our 2020 preliminary numbers on the farmers market, because considering our revenue was down so much from the farmers market because we had fewer vendors, a shorter season, we only actually had to invest $5,000 into the market this year, which was really quite remarkable.
Allison, I have another question coming in after that, if you don't mind.
Regarding the farmers market?
Regarding the budget and the Blade sign grant.
Okay.
And
So,
before we get to that, let's touch on the task force question from Michael. Michael wanted to know the task force or budgeted number. I'm just trying to pull it up here myself. Actually, Allison, do you have it on yours? We had here total task force was 33,000, which consisted of some street performing, some cafe tables and chairs, part-time wages, print materials, and seasonal activities, contest prizes, and things like that, which totaled 33,000 in total for the task force. So they have a complete calendar of events and things that they have planned for the downtown core. Again, not able to be have been instituted or initiated in 2020, but they're rolling that into 2021. And then again, they have a complete list of details. Please keep in mind that the task force, again, are doing a great job coming up with great ideas and initiating the plan of action. And then what they do is they come to the board with specific requests as far as dollars spent. So what we've done is we've allocated money in the budget to make sure that we've given them enough money or access to enough money to do all of the things that they need to do for the downtown. Does that make sense to everybody?
If I can just add into that, Joe. So any monies that the task force spends is approved by the Board of Management. They don't have free reign to go spend money however they like. All of their expenditures are either pre-approved by the board or come to the board for approval if they come up with a new idea. So all of the money is spent through BIA staff. It's all very well controlled. I
think it's important, though, to expand on Michael's question here. In a year where we are still gated by COVID shutdowns, does it make sense to increase the task force budget or expenditures? Please bear in mind, everybody, that this is a budget that we're presenting to the town. If we don't budget in the money, we can't then go and get that approved later on. So what we do is we're putting it in now on the assumption that we do get back to some normalcy. We get back to the ability to do things. And that money is now earmarked to spend on the town. If it doesn't get spent because we can't, then it will be put back into reserve or it will get put forward to 2022. And leave it out and decrease the tax burden. Okay, that's an interesting question too. It would be very interesting to note that by leaving budget numbers like this out of the mix, the tax levy, if first of all, if we were to do a tax levy decrease, it has a double dilemma for us. And the first dilemma is that if we decrease, it's going to be very hard to go back to where we once were. The second issue is that if we impose any decrease as a percentage of the levy that you're paying, the individuals that would benefit most by that are the larger contributors to the levy. And for the most part, and not to mention names or owners, but for the most part, they might not need the tax break that perhaps you might as and I'm not referencing you particularly, but a smaller location or a smaller business owner is not going to reap the benefits of a tax reduction, perhaps as big as or as attractive as some of the other commercial members. So from that standpoint, doing a decrease, it just doesn't make sense, especially if our plan is to get out of this and move forward and spend money to continuously improve the town. And you have a $91,000 surplus. You don't need to go back to where we once were. Great point, but this money is there to be spent. This money is there to continuously do what we do. If we weren't faced with COVID and we weren't faced with the inability to spend money in some of the areas that we were planning or intending, we wouldn't have had, or we would have made sure that some of this money was spent. We're in the business not to blow money, but we're in the business to manage money and spend it to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our members. And believe me, we're most certainly trying. It's just due to proper money management, correct managed expenses, we have been able to build a surplus, and that's not because of being or insensitive to the taxes that each individual is paying. We know full well that we're moving in the right direction. There are a lot of other expenses that are going to be coming our way, and we're preparing for it.
If I can jump in here, Joe, just to talk about the reserve usage. So what we did was when we decided that, or when the board decided that they wanted to pull money out of the reserves and put it into the 2020 budget, they did so with specific, with deciding that money was going to go on things that we would only be it would be like a one-time purchase. So it's not going in to cover operating expenses, to pay staff, to do that kind of thing. It's specifically for things that we buy once every 10 years or 20 years. So for example, I think you can see on your screen right now, I have a breakdown there. So $20,000 of the $91,000 has been set aside to buy new garbage cans, or to hopefully partner with the town on some new waste receptacles for downtown once the sidewalks have been done. Those garbage cans, $20,000 might buy us 10 garbage cans. They're very expensive. So we really want to make sure that we have some money aside to make this brand new sidewalk look great. So you don't buy garbage cans very often. The last time we bought garbage cans was when I first started with the BIA 12 years ago. So that is one thing. We did put the blade signage grant in here because we decided, or the board decided, that they were going to try the blade side grant out for 1 year. It was a trial thing, see how it went. Hopefully it goes great. We expected it will. So we put that in as part of this budget. If the board decides that it's going to go forward with the blade side grant in 2022, which I hope it will be absorbed into the regular budget, and the money will not come out of reserves going forward, is my guess. The next item on there is only $13,000 of the task force budget of $33,000 is kind of coming out of reserves, and that's for special things that they want to do this year, like seating for the new sidewalk development, murals for the walls that won't have to be replaced for many, many years, and some new fall and holiday decor that should last for several years. And then the last item was, again, that COVID recovery and special projects kind of general budget that we can use as and when we see the need and opportunities arise. I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you, Allison. Julia, before we get to that other question, I just want to say, Michael, thank you for your question. And again, as you can see, every dollar is accounted for, every dollar is budgeted, and we make sure that we review twice and 3 times where the dollars are being spent on behalf of our members. But if this is something that you're interested in, then by all means, we would welcome you to put your name forward to come onto our board. So then that way, if this is something that you're curious about as to how things get spent in the background, it's an open book. I mean, we would be happy to share any of this information with you because as you can see from Allison's explanation, that money's accounted for and it's budgeted for. If it doesn't get spent, it will be carried forward because the plan is to continuously improve the town. So if you want to put your hat in the ring, or if anybody does for reasons specifically as we're talking about right now, then let's chat. So there, Michael's putting his name in the ring. Julia, please write that down and we'll talk very, very soon. Okay, Julia, there was another question.
Yes. Here's the backup. Why did the Blade Sign Grant Program see a decrease in 2021 versus 2020, as this is the year of initial launch?
Can I speak to that, Joe, if you don't mind?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay, great. So the 2020 blade sign budget was actually not just for blade signage. It was for other things as well. In 2021, we just decided to have that as a standalone budget item. So I'm just trying to find it here on the budget, and I'm going to tell you exactly.
It's right under parking. It's right there.
Okay. Yes. So originally it was going to be the blade side grant. I think I have a breakdown from down a little bit farther down here. I think originally it was for, sorry, I think I took it off of here because I was trying to clean this up to make it a little neater. I believe it was also for murals as well last year. We were going to purchase our own mural besides what the task force had wanted to do. And I believe there was also money in that budget for more cameras. And we decided against spending more money on cameras until we know what's happening with the current cameras that we've had purchased and are due to be installed in the next week or so. So that's why we didn't put more money into that right away. We felt if there was a need to add more cameras or add another mural, that could come out of the COVID recovery budget if necessary.
Thank you.
Does that help, I hope?
Yeah, Christine said thank you. We had another question in here as well. Bear with me. We need to create activities throughout the year instead of a few events that are seasonal and last for a few days. We need to be more creative in creating an ongoing experience. We want business owners also to be involved by creating activities that will support and fund that will draw people to our town. And that is precisely, and I believe, Veronica, you're speaking on behalf of the Better Together Task Force. That is exactly the initiative of the Better Together Task Force that Veronica is very heavily involved in. Everybody needs to understand that this year, it's been an anomaly. We had money to spend, we had activities planned, we had capital expenditures planned that we just couldn't do. So we're hoping and looking forward to 2021 being the year that we can do all of that. Thanks, Veronica. Okay, was there anything else?
Yeah, sorry, Joe. Veronica followed up just further down with a question asking if we're going to approach a company to help us with branding.
Branding as in advertising on some of these receptacles and things like that, Veronica? I don't know what you mean by branding.
I believe it's to do with Orangeville as a whole, the branding of Orangeville as a tourism destination. But Veronica, if you could just type yes, if I'm correct with that assumption, or if you would like to, yeah, that's right. So the branding of the town of Orangeville in general from a tourism perspective, if we as the BIA are going to approach a company or work collaboratively with the town, what are our options there?
Thank you. Allison, where are we at with the branding that we had part of our whole strategic plan?
Yeah, so we had, for the last couple of years, we put money aside for branding, and it kept kind of getting put off because we were waiting for the town's tourism strategy. And in fact, that was one of the recommendations in the town's tourism strategy, to come up with a branding for Orangeville that was more tourism friendly and less kind of corporate. And I think that was a very good recommendation. The town council has not yet voted on the 2021 budget, so I don't know how much money that they're going to put towards tourism this year. There's a lot of recommendations in there, and I would imagine they can't do it all at once. Hiring a new tourism point person for the town and branding, there was a lot in that strategy. So I think we need to be patient a little bit longer, and then I'm sure if the opportunity arises, we will partner with the town as much as we can on any branding initiative.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, everybody. Has the board considered talking to Roger Brooks? That's a great question. From a branding standpoint, I don't think we actually, he presented to us in 2018, and I believe in 2019, we had talked very briefly as a board about going back and looking to him for more specific suggestions, but I don't believe that's been retabled, going back to him to talk about branding ideas or initiatives. Allison or anybody else, can you comment on that?
As far as I know, we haven't had a conversation about branding in a while because we were waiting for the tourism strategy, and because it was just released a couple of weeks ago, it did not make it into our 2021 budget. But doesn't mean if the board decides that that's what a priority is, you can reallocate some of that COVID money if that's what you decide to do. But I think right now we have other priorities, and I think it's going to take a while to get that, kind of the Orangeville tourism brand together. And I think that we would be able to leverage that brand, as well as I think we could use that brand for our own with some adjustments, I think. Like, I don't think that, I don't think we need to go this alone, is what I'm trying to say at this point.
Yep,
I think
exactly.
it needs to be a collaborative thing. So I don't think there's a big rush on this, but if money needed to be used in order for that, I'm sure the board can find a solution for that.
Okay, perfect.
In the budget. We don't know what's going to happen with events. We have lots of money put aside for events. We don't know if we're going to be able to hold those events this year. So it's a wait and see approach, I think.
Without question. Yep. Thank you. Okay. Are we ready to move on? Any last questions? Okay. Next slide, please.
Sorry, I just need to bring that back up, Joe. So just bear with me for 1 second.
So as you can all see, there were some great questions being asked. If anybody has curiosities as to what goes on in the background, you're more than welcome to come and attend one of our meetings, or not come and attend, but be present at one of our virtual meetings going forward, and throw your hat in the ring. We'd love to hear from you, because there's a lot of things that can be explained and discussed in perhaps a different forum than an AGM allows us to do. But by all means, it's an open book, and we'll share anything with you that you'd like to see. Are you making out, Allison?
Yeah, sorry, just bear with, I think you guys are all seeing my presenter mode, so I'm just trying to fix that. So
Yeah.
you don't, I'll see my, you can see, I guess, notes on the side and
Yeah.
things there. Yeah. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
No, do your thing. Just so you all know, what we did when we sat and discussed our budget, we budgeted as though we were dealing with 2020 numbers, because again, we don't know what we're dealing with, or dealing with 2020 as we had budgeted for. So things will change, and we will adapt. We will move as we're needed to, and if we're able to spend money, we will spend money on most certainly beneficial things for everybody involved. Unpredictability makes planning difficult, as we've alluded to. Having the money budgeted allows us to act as quickly as we can and make nimble decisions, so then that way we're not then having to find the money or go to town to get our budget revamped. Allison, you
Sorry,
okay?
I'm just trying to get everything back up. There we go. Okay, sorry. Is everything looking normal now?
No, you had it better before.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. You just keep doing your thing.
Is this the right slide now where you are?
No, what's happening is we're seeing 2 slides at once. But and that's fine. I mean, we can live with this.
Cara, are you able to help me with this?
Can you click on your display settings at the top?
Allison, if I can call you directly if people want to keep talking, and then it's the same as what we did earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go. That's good.
Okay. You're good.
That's perfect.
That's what you need. Yeah.
Okay. So member engagement again. Today we've engaged with a number of you. There are more that should have, and we would have loved to have seen here. But the ones of you, or those of you that have shown up, we're very appreciative, and we're going to promise that we're going to communicate and engage with you much more in the coming weeks and months, especially if we're able to loosen the restrictions somewhat. We'll support with information sharing, as Julia and Cara have done quite extensively. They have shared information that has been made available to them to help us all through this, with information that's come from the government, that's come from the CFIB, information that is going to help you get through this. More in-person visits are going to be coming. The free 1-hour marketing consultations will continue as well. And the Better Together Task Force will lead the charge in implementing the Roger Brooks Community Assessment. So we are continuously working, again, with our affiliates and our partners in this to improve the town. We're doing everything we possibly can. And for those of you that had the chance to listen to the Roger Brooks presentation, he had some incredible ideas, and some of which we've adopted and implemented, and others it's going to take some time. Allison, what are the free 1-hour marketing consultations about?
So we started those back at the beginning of COVID, and we had approached Green Monkey to assist our members in pivoting to whatever form of online sales, or just how do they make the most out of social media, out of Facebook, how do they use it. We actually had very few members utilize that service. Julie, I don't know if you recall how many did, but I think it was only a few. And we were really hoping that a lot of businesses would jump on board. It was a free service. They weren't trying to sell you anything. It was really just a matter of trying to support businesses and getting them kind of over that scary hump. So we will continue that with the hopes, and we will keep sharing that information. I think it's been a while since we shared it. So I'm sure Julia will put that in her list of things to do, to remind businesses that this is available to them, and that we are here to help, that Green Monkey is happy to do it. And you know, take advantage of every opportunity to learn and to grow and to develop your business in a new and different way.
Thank you. Can I make a suggestion, if you don't mind? And again, thank you everyone for all the questions, but we only really opened up the questions with regard to the budget at that time. And the idea was to get through the presentation and open it up for questions at the end. So can I ask everybody, if you don't mind, only in the absence of time, let's write down your questions as we go through the presentation, and table your questions through the chat box or the chat link at the end, or when we get to the question period. And if we can't get to your question tonight, we'll definitely get to the answers to you within the next 24 to 48 hours. But it'll allow us to move through this presentation somewhat more rapidly, if that's okay with everybody. Okay. Customer attraction. Next slide, please.
Sorry, things are being funky with me right now. 1 second. There we go.
Okay, Bernie. So we are doing the very same things that we did in 2020. All the customer attractions we're continuing on the exact same vein. 2020 forced us to do a few things extra, and perhaps not be able to do some of the things we had planned. So 2021 is definitely on course or on track to match the 2020 focus on customer attraction. Okay, next. Beautified unique spaces. Here's the thing, we are going to advocate on behalf of our members for everything that is needed for the sidewalk redevelopment. We're going to collaborate with the town, speak with everybody that we need to make sure that we are getting your questions and answers, or questions put forth to make sure that we are a voice when it comes to the ideas surrounding the sidewalk reconstruction. We're going to do everything we possibly can to advocate for all of you. The Canopy Share program will launch as soon as public health allows, and what that is the tents to allow people to have displays out in the front of their location, and those tents will be lent out or rented out, however we need to do it, to the members, so that way you can show your wares out on the street. Downtown cameras will be installed very soon. Just so you know, part of our budget line in 2020 was for more more interactive cameras for the downtown core. We have purchased them, and we're just coordinating with the town now to have those installed. The Blade Sign grant program, again, has been developed, and it starts now, and engage with the town and community improvement plan. So we are continuously in discussions with the town, as well as the entire community, to make sure that we're doing things in conjunction with them to improve the downtown core.
Sorry, Joe, if I can just jump in there. That particular item is specific to a community improvement plan that I believe has made its way into the town's 2021 budget, or into the draft, with the hopes that town council will approve the development of a community improvement plan. And that community improvement plan looks at it's a community-wide one, I think, is what has been recommended by town staff, but with the focus on downtown. So it will look at all manner of things relating to downtown and make recommendations about a ton of different things that we can really use for future planning, for budgets and just general, beautification efforts, all that kind of stuff. So we're really hoping, and we know that the town of Orangeville is going to have a lot of demands on its budget in 2021, but we really hope the community improvement plan makes its way into that budget this year.
You said that a hell of a lot more eloquently than I did, so thank you.
Are you listening, town councilors? We hope that it makes it, but
Thank you. Thanks,
yeah.
Allison. Thank you, town
Thanks.
council. All right, so we've touched on the blade signs. There we go. So blade signs are pretty impressive. It gives us the opportunity to, again, identify what we are, what we're selling, what wares we're selling, and what our business is. So for those of you that haven't considered it, give it some thought, because there is a great program being made available. Again, the reduced permit price, permit fees through the town was a great initiative on their part to help us get through this. So give this some thought and take a look at what you can do with your storefront. Advertise your business, your service, and do it at a discounted price. So something to definitely look into. And again, you'll get back up to $635 for the purchase and installation of a new sign. So it's something to consider.
Joe,
Okay.
like anybody that is interested, please just contact us and we'll go through the program with you over the phone or Zoom call or just by email.
Thank you, Allison. All right, before you show, okay, you're showing. That's okay.
sorry.
No, that's all right. That's okay. The next slide is the window decorating contest. I have to say that I was so impressed this year with the amount of stores that decorated their storefronts for the different seasons. So kudos to all of you. I think it really gave a nice sense of warm, welcoming feeling to our downtown core. Even though we weren't able to mingle with one another, I think the visitors who came to our town, it gave them an opportunity to see what we're all about. And I have to tell you, given that I have a storefront on Broadway, I met a number of people through the past seasons that were in this town visiting, and they were just in awe as to what a great feeling they got walking up and down our street. So again, kudos to everybody that did their decorations in their storefronts. Let's do it again. Let's keep doing it. Let's do more of it, and let's do it really, really well. But let's go to the next screen, and we're going to talk about who the winners were. Okay, so congratulations to the 2020 window decorating contest winners. We love your style and enthusiasm for the holidays. And our first prize goes to Dragonfly Arts on Broadway. You win a free quarter-page ad, including graphic design in the Hills magazine. So a silent clap for you, because you did a fantastic job. And again, wonderful job. Second prize goes to Suzanne Gardner Flowers, winning $200 in marketing bucks. Yay, that's fantastic. And third prize was a tie. It goes to Go Yoga. Shelly, good work. And Foxy Face, each of you win a $100. Oh. Each of you win $100 in marketing bucks. So congratulations to all of you. Like I said, you did a phenomenal job, and let's just keep that going. And let's do it for a reason other than a season or other than a holiday. Just decorate your windows. Be excited and help people that are walking up and down our street to feel welcome and warm when they come to our town. So great work, everybody. Wonderful work. Oh, sorry. Special thanks to our friends and partners in the Hills Magazine and Green Monkey for donating the first, I can't see because I got something there. Hold on a second. For donating first prize along with the BIA. We love working with these fantastic organizations. So thank you, everybody. Okay. Stakeholders alignment. Working together is always the best. BIA staff will continue to look for new opportunities to work with our community partners. The town of Orangeville was very supportive in extending restaurant patios and outdoor merchandise displays this year. I saw that somebody had chimed in, I think it was Troy earlier, thanking the town for extending the patio season. So fantastic, great work. Thanks to Ruth Phillips for all of your work, on these programs, and to council for supporting our members in this way. Parks and Rec really helped us out a lot this year, and I thank Ray Osmond and Kevin Barry for supporting the farmers market and assisting us with all the seasonal decorations. We will do our utmost to ensure that these programs and collaborations will continue in 2021. So thank you to everybody. Okay, what happened? You've got a...
Yeah, my pen went wild. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Looks good. All right, organizational effectiveness. You skipped the screen.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right. Thank you. BIA staff and the board will adapt to whatever this year brings. I think we did a great job shifting gears last year whenever a new challenge or opportunity arose, and I know we're all committed to continuing this approach for 2021. I have to say, if I may, at this point, for those of you that are here tonight, I think you can't leave this session without being impressed by what our BIA staff has done. We as the board, we are all volunteers, and we're doing everything we possibly can to assist our staff, and we come up with ideas and we share with our staff, but it is truly the staff that, like I mentioned at the beginning, that make the machine roll. And I have to tell you, the little things, if you visit a town, you take for granted all of the little things that go on in the background, and the things that put those planters there, the things that put those Halloween decorations there. You don't think of it when you're just visiting. So the more that we can do in the background, and the more that our staff can manage in the background, and our Better Together task force, and again, the board, I think it's so impressive to see all of the little things that take place in the sidelines that really go unappreciated. So at that point, or at this point, I want to thank you all. You've done a tremendous job, except for the fact that your cursor and your lines are screaming all over my page.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix it, but I'm just making things worse.
No,
Sorry
it's okay. I'm just teasing you. But again, I get impressed every single time. And I've been in business here on Broadway only 7.5 years, so a lot less than most of you. And the little things that happen that you don't know are happening, it blows my mind. And again, I'm really, really impressed. So I hope everybody is as equally impressed as I am, because some great things are happening, and we're going to continue to do the same great work going forward. So that's just my 2 cents. All right, where are we now?
Trying to find my cursor so there we go. Okay.
Okay, so you can see in the side-by-side pie chart that we have had to change gears a little bit in a couple of areas. Administration, in fact, has gone down slightly. Parking, we don't need to, well, actually our parking expenses are going to go down somewhat, simply because mortgages are being paid down. Streetscape remaining the same. Marketing, a little bit less. Events, slightly less. Blade signs are simply or slightly new, or less, simply because, again, we took some of the other budget items out. And our COVID-19 relief or recovery initiative is a new slice of pie, because we don't know what it's going to look like. But we can let you know that we're going to be prepared for whatever this brings or hits us with going forward. So let's hope we don't get hit with too much of a surprise, but we'll be prepared when we do. Okay. Any questions on that front? Anybody want to throw a question out? Anybody? Okay, going once, let's go. Next slide. Now we're back to the budget, but are we, here we go. So again, please ask questions. If Julia and Cara, are we going to leave the line open for questions to come through for the next little while, or how are we going to handle this if individuals have questions after the fact?
So people can post into the chat, and Julia and I will monitor and we can address them. But of course, as it always goes, most questions often come after you've had the meeting. So please feel free to contact Julia or myself, ambassador@downtownorangeville.ca, administrator@downtownorangeville.ca, and I'll post those addresses in the chat also. And we will do our best to get the answers for you and reply in a timely manner.
All right, thank you. Okay, I would like to, excuse me, or can I please have a motion to accept the 2020 preliminary financial report as presented and to transfer the 2020 annual surplus to the BIA reserve.
Hi, Joe. It's Troy Brett here. Yes, I would like to make that motion.
All right, thank you. Can I have a second?
Mike Beatty, Tap House. I'll second that.
Thank you. Now, eligible voters, please use the poll that has popped up on your screen to vote in favor or against this motion. Please keep in mind that only one vote per member is allowed, please.
I think we're just going to leave that up for a few more seconds, Joe, to make sure everybody has an opportunity to vote.
Yes, thank you.
So the polling is closed and we had 100% to accept, and I'll just share the results on the screen with everybody now.
All right, thank you. Carried. This motion is carried. Thank you. All right, now on to the 2021 budget. Can I please have a motion to accept the 2021 budget of $568,594, including a BIA levy of $460,000, other revenues of $18,600, and a contribution from the reserves of $91,594. Again, might I remind you, please, one vote only.
I believe you need a motion, don't you, Joe?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I asked if I could have a motion, please.
Troy again, Troy Brett Mokaberry will make that motion.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Debbie Sherwood will second the motion.
All right, thank you. Again, all votes are, again, please, just one vote per member.
Everyone was a lot faster that time. Well done, everybody. We get better as we go.
Experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it all finished then?
We'll just give everybody another second or two just in case there's more. There's a few more votes this time around, so I think maybe we went a little too quickly last time. So just give it a second. We want everyone to have their say. Okay, Cara, I think it's pretty safe to close it now.
Okay, yeah, that one was passed again with 100%, and I'm just sharing the results with everybody now.
Okay, thank you. So carried, that motion's carried. Thank you. And it's been a wonderful evening. Thank you, everybody. That brings us to the end of our evening. We appreciate you all attending, and please tell all of the individuals that you may know that were not on today's Zoom call, please let them know the results. Please let them know what we're doing, and let them know that their questions and comments are always welcome. And again, we can't thank you enough for being here tonight. It's been a wonderful evening. So without further ado, and without the ability to shake anybody's hand or give anybody a hug, I want to say good night and let us end this session of the 2021 AGM. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And I just want to thank the board for all their help this year, for all of their support. They were amazing, and we couldn't have done all of our work without their incredible leadership.
Thank you, Allison. Okay, this is so anticlimactic. It's good night to everybody. And be well. Stay healthy.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
everyone.
Thanks for being with us to the end.
Yes, thank you.
Good night. Take care.
I'm watching the attendance flop down. We're down to 37 now.
Bye.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Who's going to be the last one to sign off?
Oh, that'll be Cara and I.
Good night, Marlene. Good night, John.
I owe you a big hug, Marlene. You too, John.
Okay, we're down to 12. Rick and Michelle, thank you.
Good night, guys. Thank you, Joe.
Good night. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much.
Great job, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, so
I think Marlene wants to say something.
Oh,
sorry, Cara. I think Marlene is looking for her speaker.
Oh, she dropped off. Are you there, Marlene?
I am.
Oh, there you are.
Hi,
Marlene.
I miss you, Marlene. How are you and John?
We're fine.
Excellent.
I'm trying to figure out how to shut you off.
Oh, you didn't want to talk to us. You wanted to say goodbye.
You're looking around. You're looking around like you're looking to unmute yourself. Just pull the cord. Pull the cord out of the wall.
I see leave. I just wanted to thank you for the treats. They were really good.
Thank you. Thanks for coming as always.
Bye.
We're gonna have a pancake. We're gonna have a pancake breakfast in May.
That's right.
Oh,
yes.
Wouldn't that be nice, Marlene? You
Wouldn't
ready?
it? Hope so.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Take care. I still have the grill.
Good. Thanks,
Oh,
Marlene.
that's
Take
Marlene.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Sorry about that. We've got Christine Patton still on with us. She messaged me directly with a question about the budget.
Oh, sure.
So if we have the time, Christine said, in the budget, events did not increase very much, but some of the other categories did. Do we really need to put so much money aside for events during this uncertain year? I can't see the screen anymore, so I don't have the exact details, but there is, Christine said, just looking at the pie chart, she has a few questions about changes from 2020 against 2021. Christine, as there's only 8 of us, I can, if you want to unmute yourself and talk, please feel free if you want to add a bit more to that.
Yeah, guys, I think I'm just going to have to take my dog out with his bone because he's making too much background noise. So give me a moment. Harley, get out. I was just taking a look at the pie chart, and there's some areas that, we're seeing, and it's minimal changes, but it's down 2 or 3%. Yet you're still, that's it. Thank you. You're still allocating roughly the same amount to events. And I'm just wondering if going into 2021, that still makes sense.
Well, the only reason why, hi, Christine. The only reason why it's budgeted is with the hopes and expectations that we get back to normal. And experience will show that in the event we don't have the events, it's going to remain in the budget. And if it needs to be allocated somewhere else, then we can always very easily allocate it. But if we don't budget for it, we're not going to have access to it. That's the problem.
Okay, no. And I get all that. So, one of the things that Roger Brooks always talks about is that we don't want the big events. We want these daily initiatives. We want things that carry on for a few weeks. Hence, the ice sculpting that I was trying to get for February of this year. And those types of things, other initiatives that we're taking a look at through the task force that will carry on for a period of more than just 2 or 3 days, but, hopefully 3 or 4 weeks. Okay. So if we come up with something like that, and again, I'm asking from a broad picture perspective of the task force, can we go to the BIA and say, okay, we're coming up with this initiative. Can we sort of combine task force with events budget in order to create something like this? I'm just trying to get a feel of sort of the scope of what we're allowed to create, the types of ideas that we're allowed to come up with. Always keeping in mind COVID-19 and public health.
So, and again, I'll let Allison talk about numbers specific, but as far as what you're allowed to come up with, I mean, you guys have come up with some great ideas, just keep them coming. And if there are ideas that we can allocate funds to, and we're going to see somewhat of a return on investment. I mean, we're not going to see immediate return, but a capital expense for a Roger Brooks initiative, let's say, if it's a great idea, then we'll support it every which way. Now, Allison, you had touched on something earlier about the task force budget of 33,000. It's not quite a true 33,000. Is that right?
Oh, no, it is. It's just 20,000 is coming out of our regular, levy, and 13,000 of it has been kind of, it's all just BIA money. But what we didn't want is for anyone to think that we're taking money out of the reserves for operations.
Okay.
to pay for staff. It's new things, one-off things, maybe trial things, and if they work, then we try to find the money in our regular operating budget. So, Christine, I think you can see right now I have a task force budget breakdown.
Yes.
And so these were just rough estimates. So $6,000 for murals this year. You'll see down at the bottom there's $5,000 that I put aside, or we kind of allocated towards an ice sculpture or an art event. So if we can't do an ice sculpture event this winter, in the beginning of the winter, then maybe we can pivot to an art event, like that art in the park or whatever. Okay. So it's these kinds of things. So I think the money and the board, and I'm speaking for the board, and I probably shouldn't be, but my feeling of when they put aside that COVID recovery money, it was to take advantage of any great idea or opportunity that was appropriate for the time, that we could actually put together before things change.
Yeah.
We just wanted to be really nimble. So we put aside the regular event budget in the event that, people are going to, when things do go back to normal, people are going to want kind of to go back to that. Oh, great. Like Harvest Celebration was really missed this year. Moonlight Magic was really missed. Taste of Orangeville, that's one of those things that, that drives customers that are, that are actually, foodie customers. We're more, it drives people that are more attracted and will come back downtown more often than just someone that wants to come down for a freebie. So these are the kinds of things that we were hoping to do. So I think the answer is yes, there is.
The answer is definitely yes.
For really cool ideas and for more activities and less one-time events. But we really only have 3. We have Taste of Orangeville, we have Moonlight Magic, and we have Harvest Celebration. Those are really the only 3 events. So the Jazz Festival is really up in the air right now. So,
yes, I can see that. And the reason that I'm asking for this is because I'm on the task force, and we're all working to try and create ideas that are COVID sensitive, so to speak, but that are going to drive residents from the town of Orangeville into downtown. And that's where my mindset is. And you guys have worked with me long enough that, how I think, and some of the creative things that, I come up with, the team comes up with. So I just want to make sure that we're on the right track. And that we're all sort of on the same page, because we're investigating some of the stuff that Ali, that you sent me. I'll send you a report on that tomorrow. So I just want to make sure that we're still looking at creating continual activity in the downtown core. And that if it's something that's a really great idea, we can pull a little bit from events if the task force budget doesn't cover it.
I think we're definitely all on the same page. I don't think that it was ever imagined that we would give the task force less money. In fact, we would always make sure that we could make it available in the event the idea is palatable enough that we can all make sense of it and it's going to see results. But absolutely, the money is going to be there.
No, I think the biggest part of our last meeting there too was making sure that money didn't go back into reserves. That it was money that wasn't spent in 2020. So if there's some cool ideas to kickstart everybody come 2021, that money's there without having to find it somewhere or to pull it from reserve or talk to the town. It's already there at our disposal upon board approval, including the task force. And the task force actually came up with part of that too, that it would be some of the initiatives that come up, or if any business owner or group of people come up with things to that was a great idea to help the better of the collective, right?
Yeah.
And you know what, guys, like we really appreciate that. I was part of a couple of different advisory questionnaires in coming up with tourism strategy. I have my personal vision of downtown, which a lot of you also have, what we need to do, music in the park and things such as that, art in the park. So I just want you to know I will continue working towards that. If we can, implement it in 2021, I don't know. It might be a 2022 thing. But what we really need to do is to get more people that live in this town to actually come downtown to the betterment of all of our businesses.
Without question. Absolutely agreed. And thank you for what you are all doing on the task force. You're doing a great job. let's hope your great job can be put to work in 2021.
Oh, Joe, we're very passionate about this. Like, we really are. That's why we meet every week and talk about how we can continue to move this forward. And we're making a lot of really, really great progress right now, in January of 2021. I'm really pleased with, some of the results that we're coming up with. So a lot of good things down the road, come spring of 2021, and fingers crossed that we can continue on this path. By the way, today was amazing. You guys did a fabulous job. The gift packages that we all came back with were just lovely, just absolutely lovely.
Well,
you guys really did well.
That too.
The packs you made up, Christine, were delicious. I enjoyed everything.
Yeah,
definitely the star of the show.
Though I have to say, Christine, you need bigger labels and you need to stick them right on the top.
Yeah.
Allie, I'm a subtle person.
No subtle. No, stop the subtleness. There's no subtle anymore. COVID-19 has thrown subtle in the garbage. You got to be like, toot your own horn.
Okay, I'll start doing that.
And please thank Karen, because I know she put a lot of work into that.
She did. She does all the the small little stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That nobody ever sees, and I love her for it.
Yeah.
I had a young
absolutely amazing.
I had a young person say to me not too long ago that you have to stop being quiet and you have to pump your tires. So get out there and pump your tires.
I'm always afraid of doing that, right? Like, I'm just kind of always behind the scenes, but maybe 2021 is the year that I start tooting my own horn for a change.
Do it.
There you go. Yes,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Christine.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. It was a really, really good meeting. Thank you for supporting the task force. You really put, faces behind the name of this committee, because we work really hard and we're really passionate about downtown and what we can do to help all of our fellow business owners. Wonderful. So thank you for putting, the light on us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, good night, guys.
Well deserved. Thanks, Christine.
Thanks, Christine.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.
Bye. Okay.
And then there were 7.
Yes. We're still streaming. So I'm going to ask permission to stop that now if we officially call it, or do people want to continue?
I think you're safe to stop streaming because the meeting.
Stop screaming. Yeah.
Stop screaming. The meeting. You can tell I had a little bit of something in my coffee cup. The meeting is